Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Smash Controllers podcast. Today I'm here with the homie. Um, it's another Joe.
Yeah.
I also met him as what is it, Snakes with Fists.
That's it.
We give it up for Joe, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate that.
How you doing? You
Having me.
do you want to be called Joe or do you want to like go by Snakes? Or
Yeah. Joe's fine for now. I don't know. But now that you mention it, I hadn't really thought about it. I might just change my name to Snakes. Yeah.
okay. Because I was thinking, I was like, well, should I call them snakes or? But how you doing today? How's your day going?
Man, it's going good. I took a floating holiday today from work. So from my real job, Uh,
I took me a day too.
yeah, yeah.
I took me a day too. But
So yeah, can't complain. It's been good.
I met you at DreamHack Atlanta. We didn't really have a chance to converse because they were kicking everybody out. But I
That's right.
got your card, and you're the creator of Snakes with Fists.
Yep, yeah, it's
Okay.
one of the projects I've had in my idea journal for a little while, but just recently started working on. But yeah, yeah. So I'm making the game developer, uh, number one person, only person,
Oh, okay. One man show, one man army.
and I have luckily hired out for some talented pixel art. So I did some of the pixel art myself, but I hired out for some of it. Metal Zebros, he's done an awesome job with it. So I've got him, and then I also hired a musician for the music because I'm not good at music.
So, could you tell us about Snakes with Fists? Like, tell us. Oh, before I get started, I'm sorry, I'm messing up my own show. What's your first video game memory and the first game that you remember rage quitting, kind of raging in?
The first one that caused me to smash my controller, if you will.
Yeah, hypothetically, we don't break controllers.
No, no, but we did have to make that rule because we had an NES, original Nintendo, when I was growing up, and it was like, don't throw the controllers, guys. Like, so I had a brother and sister that we played. So my earliest gaming memory, I was very young. I remember my sister and brother and I, we found a Sega Master System that was in my parents' like closet, and
Oh,
and it had a game stuck in it, so it was like broken to them.
mhm.
The game was called Hang On, and it was
Hang
basically
on.
like a motorcycle racer game, and
Okay.
that's the only game you could play on it. And we just played it over and over and over. And so our parents decided to buy us an NES,
Okay.
and yeah, so then probably the NES is where we started rage quitting, though. That's
Okay.
probably the game that's inspired Snakes with Fists the most is Battletoads, and that's one I
Oh,
definitely remember
that
rage quitting the
ooh.
turbo tunnel. Level two or I guess three, but yeah, when you're down in the tunnel getting on like the speed bikes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was thinking the one with the speed bikes. I was like, it was so fast. I was like, you had to memorize.
Yes,
Like there was no like, I know this is fingers didn't move
it's
that
the only
fast.
way. Trial and error. And
Yeah,
and the thing about it was, and I remember my brother and I played it the most, and we would play it, but it's so frustrating because if he would crash, then we'd have to restart. If I would
yeah,
crash, we'd have to restart. And so it just got us fighting.
yeah,
Plus, you could
man,
like punch each other and damage each other.
yeah.
So yeah,
Those are the worst when you can
yeah,
hurt your teammates. Especially when they decide they want to play too much a little bit. They're like, all right, now I'm low on health. Stop hitting me.
it's not funny anymore.
Nah, but yeah, tell us about Snakes with Fists. Like, where did it come from? Where did it start? Like from the beginning to where it is now. Like
Yeah,
Snakes with Fists.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I know. So yeah, humor is a big part of it. It's
Mm,
it's very kind of self-aware and sarcastic in that sense because there's a lot of humor in the household. So everything starts with my kids, my two boys, even my game studio, Green Guy, Blue Guy. My youngest always wants to play the green character. My oldest always wants to play the blue character. So it's Green Guy, Blue Guy is the name of the game studio.
okay.
So we just have riff sessions all the time. My wife runs an improv comedy theater,
Hmm.
and she owns it, and she's the head instructor. She does it all, and so we're
Yeah.
we're always joking, and that's just a huge part of our life. So
Mm,
humor is a big thing.
okay.
So a lot of these ideas have come up just riffing with my kids. So we did play Battletoads. We played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade and those
Hmm.
old beat 'em ups. And we were kind of riffing one day just about like, oh yeah, we could do one that's you don't have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you don't have Battletoads, you have like snakes, but they have fists. So that's just kind of riffing. We kind of came up with that concept, and then my youngest came up with the backstory. He kind of said, "Well, what if there were regular snakes, and then they got bit by radioactive fists, and then they became snakes with fists?" I was like, "Well, yeah, that's what happened. That's the
Okay.
backstory now."
That's creativity right there.
So that's kind of the genesis of it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, where my heart and soul comes into it is sharing that gaming experience with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, playing some of the old retro games and giving them that experience. Like some of the mechanics don't translate well. Like you go back and you have these fond memories, and you go back and play those games. It's like compared to now, they're kind of sticky controls,
Yeah.
not super fun. The kids are
Right.
kind of like bored after like 5 minutes. So for me, it's a way to give this next generation that kind of retro experience, but with like cleaner mechanics, something that'll hold up. But you
Mm-hmm.
get that same kind of feel of like a
Right.
Battletoads or a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
And then just to go into a little more detail about Snakes with Fist, it's actually a mashup of an RPG and a beat 'em up. So all,
Okay.
all the action comes from the beat 'em up play style, but
Mm-hmm.
you do explore an RPG world.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of getting pulled into a turn-based battle system, you get pulled into a beat 'em up stage where you have to now you're in like a mini boss fight with the character.
Got you.
And that wasn't random. I wanted to inject narrative and humor into the
Mm-hmm.
game, and I was wondering how I could do that. Well, I was like, well, in between stages, you could explore an open world, and that's kind of where that concept came from. And
Okay.
I don't know that anyone's really done that, so it could be good, it could be bad, but that's the direction we're going.
I was gonna ask, have you ever, when you said that, immediately I think it's called Riverside Girls kind of came to
Oh yeah,
mind.
yeah. River City Girls and River
Oh,
City
River
Ransom and
City.
that whole
Yeah.
series. Yeah, yeah.
Is okay. I think is that kind of like what you were aiming for? I think that's kind of
There
like in
So,
RPG.
so in that there is kind of an RPG element. The difference with this is that you're actually going to change, like, switch to that perspective of like the top-down 2D,
Okay.
go and explore. So it actually changes that to that feel. So it's kind of like when you play an RPG and then you get pulled into a battle. Now you're in that different perspective.
Right.
It's like you get pulled into the beat 'em up style, and then now you're back out and you're in the forward direction animation, top down 2D world exploring. But yeah, River City Ransom, I think, yeah, on the NES they did it, and I also liked their humor. So there's a
Yeah.
tribute to that game in there as well.
Okay.
Where everyone would say barf
Hmm.
for some reason. There was text at the bottom, and so I loved that the death phrase. So now we've injected some of that into our game. So when
Okay.
you battle somebody and they die, there's a little phrase they emit, and it's kind of fun. We've got these little crawler robot characters. When they blow up, they're like, "Well, I never learned to love."
Okay. All right. So was like creating a video game always like something you wanted to do? Is it something like recent? Like when I say always, I mean like maybe childhood, and when I say recent, I mean maybe like adulthood or.
Yeah, I think as a child, I didn't really know it was an option.
Hmm.
Um, and it started so I'm from the generation where when I got to high school we had the first Xbox, and like game design became like a real job.
Yeah.
And at that time, so early childhood not really, but yeah, into high school going into college, I actually was setting out to be a game designer. That's what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
but then life happened, so
Hey.
and I dropped out of college and I opened a business and I ran that for several years. And I always have made games as a hobby. I made a game in high school for one of my science projects. Me and a buddy, we were actually going to be game designers together. We had a few
Okay.
ideas. We just had separate paths, kind of went separate ways
Yeah,
on those college age times. So
I
so
understand that.
yeah, so that was always kind of the plan, and I've always done it for fun. The business I ran was a magic shop,
Hmm.
and I made a magic app and released that on the app stores.
Okay.
And
Is
so
it
I've
still
always
there?
done that, yeah, and always made stuff. Oh no, I removed the app.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so it's something I've always done more as a hobby. I've done a couple game jams with my kids,
Uh-huh.
and then finally it was like kind of in showing them and supporting them because my son's in high school, my youngest son's in middle school now,
Hmm.
kind of showing them what you can do, like to follow your dreams is like
Right.
actually complete projects and get them out there, get your
Okay.
ideas out there. Well, the whole idea is really to support them kind of into their adulthood, kind of maybe pave a little bit of a way for them, like
Yeah.
if they want to develop games, hopefully
Yeah.
we'll
Okay.
see. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's great. Okay, that makes me, because I'm a father too.
Yeah.
So like, what are some of the challenges you face with like being a dad and trying to essentially follow this path you created or dream or goal? What I don't know. I don't want to dim the light on it. So that's
No, that's a great I mean, it's a great question because the time is
yeah
so valuable.
yeah
So I've had to really like I try to make it eat up my time, not their time, if that
mm,
makes sense.
it does.
And what I find is if I'm spilling over too much, like developing the game or
Mm,
working on a game or doing a passion project, I will literally just pause it and say, nope, not today, not happening. I used to have what was called guys' nights, where it'd be me and my boys, just the three
uh
of us, and we would get you eat whatever you want. We're gonna go rent a video or buy a video game, and or watch a movie and just hang out. So I
okay
just make that focused effort. Always have, always, and always will. So yeah, it's
okay
just prioritizing time. I've really had to block it out and just
mm,
this is game dev time,
mm,
and that's it.
okay.
Sometimes late nights, but yeah.
Yeah, so cause working, like full-time job, then come home, you have to be dad, and that little block of time for yourself, it's like, gotta squeeze in what you can.
It can be exhausting, but it's how I've always operated at the just high velocity, high pace. My
Hmm.
wife runs her business. She sits on several boards. The kids, they're in after school activities. My youngest does jujitsu. I do that with him.
Okay.
My oldest is in theater arts and does an excellent job. So he's always doing things with theater arts. So I'm doing this. I've got my full-time day job. I mean, it's like our household's like nonstop. So we
Yeah.
all kind of thrive in that like
Okay.
fast-paced environment, but we all will slow down and make the effort, make the time,
Right.
where we can. So
Okay.
absolutely.
Uh, cause I would say I'm a creative as well. I don't draw and stuff as much as I used to, just because I put in more time in different avenues like the podcast and streaming and stuff. I say that to say some of my pieces are inspired by like my family, like my wife or my kids or something. And I was gonna ask, is that the same for you? Like when you because I know you said your youngest helped you with the story, like characters and stuff, like a saying or something. Do they like inspire that as well? You like when I put this in there, it reminds me of young son or the youngest son or the wife
100%.
or
100%. Yeah, yeah. Like we were, and it could come up anytime. Like we were
uh
sitting in a drive-through a taco place, and we were just riffing as usual, like we do. And we're sitting there talking. I was like, yeah, what if this person in front of us that's taking forever, at the window? What if they're just like just ordering like sour cream? And he's like, right, and that's like all he eats. Like he just eats sour cream. And I'm like, yeah. So we just riffed, and now we've got a character in our game that just eats sour cream. Like that's just this guy. And he's like, hey guys, it's good. I sour cream. I put it on a napkin. I roll up the napkin and eat it. It's delicious. It's just a horrible little greebly character that eats sour cream. So, and he's in the game, just because we're riffing in a drive-through line, so stuff like that. That's
okay.
really really out there. Yeah,
Yeah. And
but yeah, that's kind of how we roll with it.
okay, yeah. No, because I kind of like you say you guys are jokesters. You have a good time, and I can picture it as you talk about it. Like I can see it because me and my family do it too, so I can picture it. I want like when you were this isn't your first game, but this is like your first major game.
Yeah, this would be like my first like commercial release.
Okay,
I released a Well, let's see. I've got a game jam game on itch, and that was the last plant. And my boys actually helped me with that game.
okay,
My oldest did the artwork, and my youngest did the sound effects. And so
okay.
we did that game jam together, which was pretty cool. And we won first place here in San Antonio. Yeah, they ranked it locally. It was the global game jam, and it
Hey,
was called the last plant. And yeah, they did excellent. It was awesome doing a game jam with them. That was so
okay.
much fun.
That's a memory right there.
It's
Ah,
awesome. I'm trying to advocate for it a little more. I'm part of a game devs with kids group that
mm,
goes to GDC,
uh,
and we've just released this topic like for this year. We want to do like let's meet up, have a roundtable discussion, how to have game jams with your kids, and
okay.
like how to include them in that because there's so many game devs that have kids that just that the kids aren't included for whatever reason, or maybe they think they can't bring them. I
Hmm.
just did. I just brought my kids to the game jam. I was like, "Is this okay?" And they were like, "Yeah." It's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
cool."
Okay.
But they're a huge part of it. And back to the character thing really quick too. I
Hmm.
know I was telling the story about the sour cream guy and that strange character, but there are two characters in the universe that are based directly on my two boys. There's
Hmm.
Lord Sword and Infinity Reader. They're two brothers that need each other and they're in the world together. And that's
Okay.
directly characters that are based on their imagination play when they were real little. And those
Okay.
are the character names are even what they called them each other, when they were playing.
Wow.
So really excited to have those things are like meaningful to me, and I'm really
Yeah.
happy to have them in the game.
I would cry if I played that. Like, well, how do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it means a lot to me. A lot of my heart and soul is going into this, and there's a lot of humor in there, but there are deeper layers to the
Yeah.
world. There is a deeper narrative to the game, but it's also just very self-aware humor, tongue-in-cheek,
Okay.
and sarcastically funny. And that's kind of the yeah, it's a lot of layers.
Yeah. That's a great game already. So when you're developing this game, you said you're based in San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
How what gets you to travel to places like DreamHack, you know?
Mm.
Like, were you invited? Were you like, this is something that I'd be interested in kind of showing off myself? Like, how does that go on the developer side? Because I was invited as a guest, you know.
Right.
So, to see someone like actually participating in it, how does that go for you? And not just DreamHack, but like
Mm.
anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been trying to, so I've been an entrepreneur, owning my magic shop, and then my wife and I owning the theater. She runs it, but I help her with it. So I've always kind of had that like mentality of like, how do I do the business side of this? So with game dev, it's the same thing. So what I did to kind of strategize on how to figure all this out was I joined a group called the IGDA,
Uh-huh.
Independent Game Developers Association.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know anybody. Like, there's a small network here in San Antonio that I joined, and it's a good group, but like, it wasn't enough. I was like, so I need to network on a larger scale and see how I can get more involved with events and people. So I
Yeah.
joined the IGDA. So happy I did because they sent me an email that said, hey, DreamHack is looking for indie developers, and they're partnered with IGDA to send this announcement. Here's the
Mm.
form, fill it out. I filled it out, super excited, was put on the wait list. I don't know, there was a lot of competition for those spots, but they ended up picking up my game after all. I sent them a very, very rough demo. Very rough demo of Snakes with like video. And like I had tried to inject a little humor into the video because there wasn't a lot of context in there. So it's just like me reading a Battletoads magazine with like glasses, like, oh, I didn't see here you come in. Like just really kind of pandering to make the video better than what it actually was, what I actually had to play. So
Yeah.
I guess they liked the humor in the video and they said yes. And then I went to work on that game. I didn't sleep. I mean, I submitted this thing and I didn't have a playable demo really.
Mm.
I got a playable demo ready in a couple months. Yeah, I was working on it, hustling 24/7. But that's it. I mean, like joining networking, joining
Mm.
groups, and now that I've done DreamHack and part of the IGDA, I've networked with other game developers. I've had people at that event say, "Hey, come to our convention that we're having." So just kind of getting yourself out there and just breaking through that first one. I feel like the dam's broken open a little bit, and I'm getting
Yeah.
some context. And yeah, no, it's been nice. So
Okay, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. We all could use Snakes with Fists on our desktop or wherever. Where do you plan on releasing it? Just PC for now, or?
Yeah, I've got the Steam page wish list going right now.
Mhm.
So definitely PC. So I develop an engine called Godot, which I really love. It's a free
Uh,
open source game engine, and there is some challenges with getting that ported to consoles,
yeah.
but not impossible. There's a company called W4 Games that can help me port to the console. So I would like to eventually, ideally, I think for nostalgic reasons, get it on the Nintendo platform. So the Switch
Yeah.
probably, you know.
Yeah.
And definitely if I can get on Xbox and PlayStation, I will as well. So
Okay.
so starting with PC, but yeah, eventually I'd like to get on consoles as well.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
wondering. So when you're developing your game, I don't want you to kind of reveal too much of the magic, but if you give like a rough outline of how do you go about your process, do you like I know I want to make a beat 'em up RPG, or I want to make an action platformer, and then do you go characters, story, or does it just kind of come to you at different times, or do you have like a process you like to follow?
Yeah, I definitely have a process. So I'm somebody who's had to force myself to be organized.
Uh huh.
I mean, I was like diagnosed like ADD when I was young,
Hmm.
like not with hyper, like just the
Yeah.
old school ADD where I just zone out, like so I do that. And so I've learned to manage that, all through my life and it's not a
Oh.
problem. But because of that, I write everything down and
Yeah.
that's my system. And so I actually have a Google Doc that's my game design document. So I started when I said I'm pulling the trigger, I'm making snakes with fists. It's no longer
Uh huh.
just going to be an idea. I'm doing it. I made to-do lists with dates.
Right.
And because what is it like a goal without a deadline is just a dream or something
Yeah.
like that. So like those are like all my goals have like dates and like I'm gonna finish them by that.
Okay.
Even when I started working on the demo for DreamHack and I only had like 2 months to get it done, I said this week I'm gonna put these features in. Next week these features, boom, boom. This weekend I'm gonna play test all those features I had and make sure there's no bugs and do bug fixes. So I just had to get really organized with my time
Mm.
and write it out. So that's the approach I took was just segmenting the game into different sections. I'm going to work
Okay.
on narrative this day and interject like the dialogue with the characters. On the next day, I'm going to work on the battle system. This day, I'm going to work on adding an enemy. So just
Yeah.
that's my system. Just a scheduled list of items to get knock out one at a
Okay.
time. As simple as that is, that's all I do.
No, I mean, I was just wondering because everybody's process is different. I wasn't trying to, get you to reveal too much of your secret, not the Krabby Patty
Hey,
formula,
I'm
but
an open book. I think the more knowledge sharing out there, the better, right? I love when I listen to somebody who's telling me exactly what they did, because
yeah.
I wanna do the same, I
No,
want to repeat that.
same here. Like I take that in. I'm like, okay, so that way
Heck yeah,
works because they've done it.
yeah,
So if this way I'm trying to do it doesn't work, I know a way that does work because it's been
yeah.
done.
So that's how I organized my plan. But then actually making the game, so I
Mm,
really didn't focus on graphics to begin with. I focused on getting the game like playable. So like placeholder images in there.
yeah.
I can move the character around cool. This is a really rough punch animation. Does it feel right when I press the button? So I worked on getting the physics and everything in there
Okay.
first, and then I polished it up with the graphics after. So that's kind of the way I did that.
Yeah. What in what kind of games inspired? Is it just Battletoads or is it other games that also inspired Snakes with Fists?
It's really just like a lot of the NES games that I played growing up.
Okay.
Because of the RPG element in there, there's a little bit of Zelda, of course.
Yeah.
But no, Battletoads was such a fun game, and the reason I keep mentioning it is because when I was talking to my boys about this, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna make this tribute to the first level of Battletoads, not the second.
Yeah.
When you're on the first level," and that's kind of the whole concept. I was like, "Man, if we were playing it, because we've got it on cartridge and we were playing it, and I was like, man, if we could just expand this first level and the whole game was just this first level, this game
Yeah.
would be my favorite game ever."
Right.
So, but as soon as we get descend down into that tunnel and we get on those bikes, it's done for me.
Hey, I'm done. You turn the game off after that.
Yeah. So that the reason I keep going back to it is because of those conversations early
Mm,
on. But no, I loved beat 'em up games. I loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. I
mm.
loved the arcade cabinets. So my mom was a manager of a Godfather's Pizza when I was growing up,
Okay.
and they had different arcade machines that they would bring through.
Mm-hmm.
And Double Dragon was one of them. That
Mm-hmm.
was an awesome beat 'em up. Another one was the Simpsons arcade, which was a great beat 'em
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
And then we had it was Fatal Fury was another one that
Oh,
came through.
okay. I thought you were gonna
And
say Killer Instinct.
yeah, yeah. Not quite that modern, but so all of those games really contributed to like my inspiration for this, and then just my love of narrative and yeah, RPGs is why I added the RPG element because I really want to inject it with that narrative and that other layer so that people can go to the beat 'em up stages and play through if they want to, or if they want
uh
to hang out in the world, slow down a little bit, get to know some NPCs, do some little side quest stuff, uncover more story in the world. That's an option. Or
right.
you go straight to the action if you like and go clear out those stages and open up the world. It's up to the player.
Is the game, how would you describe it? Would you say it's like linear with open world elements, or would you say it's kind of like a open world, more of an open world game, but you can just go straight through the story, if that
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense?
it's it's at the moment because I'm still polishing up like the demo.
Yeah.
So, but the plan for it is for it to be open world-esque, but there
Okay.
will be like blocks, like you can't unlock this city,
Yeah.
for example, until you clear out that stage, which
Gotcha.
allows you to have that element of control over the narrative. So it
Mm.
kind of like those kind of gates that lock the player out until they uncover that part of the story.
Yeah.
So it's open world-ish, but
Mm.
the story is going to be linear.
Got you. All right, that makes sense. And are you? I know you said you got help. You got help with the music.
Hmm.
What kind of sound were you going for when you did the music? Was it like a was it kind of like a I say Final Fantasy where it has that kind of adventure esque music to it? Was it kind of like Battletoads where it's like
Once again,
we're about
it
to
was
beat some, we're about
Battletoads.
to we're about to beat some dudes up.
Yeah, once again, it really was Battletoads. I literally sent the guy like links to YouTube videos. I was like, listen to this. That's what I want. But it's not. So when I and it's not all that, but some of those were, and some of the tracks that I have in the demo are actually some open source music that fits in seamlessly with it. That's great. But it's that retro style, but it's not like authentic. It's not like you could put it on an NES cart and it could play through, or it's not like a Game Boy soundtrack like
Yeah,
where we use chip tunes only.
yeah,
It's using modern techniques, but it's just that throwback, chip
yeah,
tune
yeah.
style.
I understand. I was just kind of wondering, like, what kind of music kind of inspired it. That's all,
Yeah, no, right on.
Okay.
So
What?
we could cut this whole interview. It's Battletoads.
Okay. It's the Battletoads reskin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's got a lot
Uh,
more than that, but that's too funny.
yeah. What were some of the challenges you kind of ran into while making the game, like big and small?
Yeah, I saw like a meme that like sums it up perfect. It was like nobody told me when I started making a game that I'd have to make the whole thing. So really and truly, like I hustled and sweat and got this demo ready for DreamHack, and I'm
Yeah.
not even lying, it crashed the night before.
Oh
Like we
wow.
were supposed to go live with it, it completely crashed. And so I was up all night fixing bugs and getting it to work. And I duct taped it together to where it was good enough and playable, and we had a playable demo. But
Okay.
my multiplayer didn't work, so I had the first day people could only play single player.
Mm.
And so it was enough to get through DreamHack, and we did well with it there. But yeah, so challenges are nonstop when making a game.
Yeah.
There's no short of problems you run into. There's no short of things you realize you didn't know.
Mm.
So for me, it's just being okay with that, being comfortable in like, okay, I'm going to run into challenges. There are going to be bugs, and we'll
Mm.
fix them, and just taking it as it goes. That is the challenge. Is just you're going to hit those brick walls, and what are you going to do how do you react when you do? You know?
Right. Well, let me ask this. You say you have siblings. Were you like a big co-op family? Like couch co-op family?
So with the NES, I mean, really, it's two player.
Yeah.
So, but yes, my sister didn't play as much. My brother
Mm.
and I played a lot of two
Okay.
player games, and
Okay.
yeah, we loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I am with my kids a big couch co-op. Like
Mm.
now, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
yeah, we get on the Switch and we'll all sit around and play, whether we're taking turns, whether we're doing couch co-op.
Mm.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
And and there you go, multiplayer in Snakes with Fists.
Yes.
Could
Yeah.
it's just a I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just a thought. But will we will we be able to change the color of the snake's pants or the color of the snake at some point?
Yeah, I'm considering what kind of options I can play with. I even have a third snake character that I haven't even revealed any artwork for or anything, and I'm debating on how I can fit this character in. And I have them fitting into the narrative, but I'm like, I want them to be playable from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I do that? Anyway, so yes, I think if you both select the same snake, you should have different colored pants. That's a
Yeah.
good simple fix that I was thinking about the same exact thing.
Okay.
I was like, or maybe I could do an indicator arrow above the character, if they pick the same ones, like, the green arrow or the blue arrow.
Yeah. Do they have stats? I haven't had the chance to check out the game yet. I kind of seen on your page just like screenshots and
Yeah,
stuff
and
real quick.
I just had the demo playable at DreamHack, so I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
polishing the demo, and I'm going to release the demo at the end of the year. It's lined up for a Steam Next Fest in February, so it'll be ready to go definitely by then.
Okay.
Trying to get the demo released by the end of the month. So
Okay.
that's the whole game loop, right? That's you're going to go into the RPG world, you go into the shops, you can buy items. Then this is the plan, so bear with me, it's still in development.
Well, that's fine.
That is the plan that you could customize your character to the
Oh,
playstyle you like. If you want to
okay.
focus more on your special attacks, you can get an augment that will do that. So you go to the shop, buy the augment you want, upgrade it, full RPG stats, go back into the beat 'em up and get them. So
Okay.
that's the plan.
I know that's cool. All
Yeah.
right. So like when when you like talk about like snakes with fists, like it's like I created this, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that make you feel? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's went from like an idea, like, this would be cool to like you had a working demo at an event,
Yeah.
Like how's that like that's gotta be like a surreal feeling,
Yeah, surreal nails it. I was reflecting on this the other day, and it's like I feel fortunate that I
Uh
get to work on this. It's almost like this game picked me is how it feels. I'm like, this
yeah.
is so fun, and this is so cool. It's so rewarding to work on this thing, and then to see people react and love it and play it. That was so rewarding. Yeah, absolutely. But I feel honored, like I get to work on this thing. No way, me really?
Right.
Okay, I'll do it. So. I'm really, really grateful and yeah, just humbled by the whole thing. It's awesome.
Was that you at DreamHack with the snake top
Yeah,
on? That was
yeah,
you.
that's me.
Okay, okay.
I
Because
was
like
all
I
in.
said, because like I said, they were closing. I was running. I was just trying to get everybody's
Yeah,
cards, and I was like, "Is that?"
yeah, yeah. No, that was me. I looked at that snake costume and I didn't even wear it the first day. I was like, it sat in the closet at the Airbnb, and I was like, you know what? I'm in. I'm wearing this thing. With fake muscles underneath,
Yeah,
jacked up snake.
that's how it's supposed to be. Now,
That's
that's a
it.
snake with fists right there.
That's right. Now we had a blast. People when they played it, they laughing at the jokes and seeing that
Hmm.
timing line up just right. I was like, man, this is so cool. And we ended up with one of the Audience Choice Awards. We technically got third place, but
Okay,
yeah, people
top
voted
three.
for it. Yeah, yeah. I got a little trophy. It's like all I look at all the time. I'm like, I won this. So
I
it's
did
really
that.
yeah.
How hard is it, like writing a script and writing like humor inside a game, like humor that hits? Because you can write a joke and it'd be like,
Yeah, no, I think like so my wife, like I said, she performs improv and I perform with her on
mm,
stage and so we're constantly riffing and doing improv comedy together. And there are certain like little rules that are unwritten with comedy. Like there's one thing called like the rule of three. Like if
mm,
you hit a joke three times, like you raise the stakes of the joke like three times, but after that
yeah,
it stops being funny.
yeah,
So it's like you hit that like joke three levels and then that's it, and then kind of
okay,
move on from it. That's one basic little rule that's kind of fun to play with and to know
okay,
about. I don't think I really consciously think about that all the time when I'm writing. But if
mm,
even if you've ever been in a conversation where you say something and somebody else riffs and they say something funny and then somebody
yeah,
tops it and everyone laughs and then that one person says it and you're like, ah, you killed it. It's not their fault.
yeah,
That's the rule of three. Leave it at that high laugh point right
yeah,
there. So, just there are little tools like that, but I think what it really comes down to is just really being honest with your perspective on how you see things and like how this character would honestly react. Like what is their honest reaction if this world is real to this character? What's true to them? And then what else is true in that world?
right,
Then that's what comedy is. It's like this thing's true. Okay, because of that, what else is true?
right,
Snakes have fists. Okay, what else is true? Well, worms have feet. Awesome. So now we got new enemy. Worms with feet, or whatever, right? So,
okay, all right. I cause I've always I I like to write a little bit,
mhm.
make fake, stories, whatever. But like just kind of like hearing like the perspective of someone that's made their own game and how they, write the script, how they do their jokes, how they do just little, even like little one-liners here and there from the items to the buffs to the power-ups. Like that's gotta like that's gotta take some like time, right? Like
It does.
how do you like balance all that? Like, how do you like, all right, you keep from like, how do I say this? Like, kind of like not overdoing it, but not underdoing it as well.
Yeah, I think that's part of the challenge, you know. But for just as far as like the narrative goes, I follow just that basic like what you call it, hero with a thousand faces or the hero's journey, right? Like it's that same story. It's Luke Skywalker. It's the story of even Jesus in the Bible, right? It's the same like it's that same kind of loop, and using that as kind of a base template for the core story. But I think really good narrative. It's not just about what's happening in the world, but it's what's happening to your characters and how they feel about it personally, right? So like you have the world happening, the bad guy who's doing all these things, but hey, they kidnapped our father. We love him. We're gonna go get him.
Right.
Like that's the real motivation. And then all the other stuff in that hero's journey happens, but then they're super motivated, and that's what they're after, right? That
Mhm.
sort of thing. So I think just keeping those basic rules of like narrative down, like the hero's journey, what's important to the people when you're doing humor, this is true in the world, so what else is true in the world? And how is that interesting, right? Playing with that. So those are the basic tools that I kind of use to paint with. And then from there, like, how does this make sense with the gameplay? And how can I play with this with punching? So I have snakes with fists, so everything's
Mhm.
going to be punching. Even in
Yeah.
the RPG world, you're going to punch someone instead of walking up and talk to them. Start a conversation, punch them. I mean, you can talk to them, but that's an option too. Is like you
Yeah.
just and they react like they don't like that. So just how can I move these concepts into now the game mechanics, and that's where
Mhm.
you get that narrative through your game mechanics and how you can tie it all together. That's my perspective. We'll see if I can execute it well. I'm working on it. I think it's coming together. But those are what I think about when I'm doing it.
Okay. Nah, cause that was beautiful. Oh, somebody get
Okay,
hey, you should be a professional speaker somewhere.
I
Guys
appreciate
want
that.
you guys ever wanted to make a video game? It's all in the narrative.
Thanks so much. No, it's that's I've done a ton of research and I've been writing narrative for a long time and I'm
Mhm.
just getting older, just life experience, you know.
I understand that. I know it's real early, but would you consider making a sequel or some DLC for Snakes with Fists?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think there's always kind of room for a sequel with a
Mhm.
game like this. And I know this is kind of a maybe a cliche thing to do, but I don't really care. It's happening. These two characters are actually connected in part of a bigger world. So I actually have a bigger story that I've been writing for a long time. And that's the one I was telling you about that has the Lord Sword and Infinity Reader, the characters based on my kids. It's called
Okay.
Tale of the Story Legend. It's on my website. It says under development. That's the big game that I really want to make and I'm really excited to make. And these were
Okay.
kind of spin-off characters. But I've really fallen in love with these characters in this the Snakes with Fists and
Yeah.
I'm really like digging into it now because I really love it a lot and it's becoming a much bigger game than I initially planned on, and now I'm
Mhm.
putting my heart and soul really into the Snakes with Fists a lot. So definitely, if it's well received and people want more of it, I would be honored to do
Yeah.
a sequel. I
Okay.
probably, I don't know about DLC. I'm not a huge fan of some of that
Yeah.
transaction style,
No, I understand.
but
To an extent, saying,
if it was to extend the story, yeah,
yeah,
I could do
yeah, oh
that
yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
But when it starts getting into microtransactions, I get,
No, no,
I don't want to do that.
you just like me. Oh man,
Yeah.
exactly. Would you? Is this like this type like style of game? Is this like the style you would want to be known for, or would you want to do more 3DS games or
Mm.
side scrollers or anything like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a 3D.
Hmm.
I would love to do an homage to the Nintendo 64.
Hmm.
I've talked a lot about the NES because this is kind of an homage to that, but I was a huge fan of the Nintendo 64. That one really got me through my, later childhood, up
Yeah,
into my teenage years, and I loved the Nintendo 64. So I would love to do like low poly throwback graphics to that style.
yeah.
I don't know if you've played like the El Paso Elsewhere or games like that that kind of have some of that throwback style, but I would love to do one like that.
Okay. I haven't played that, but I did own a Nintendo 64, so I was a big gamer. Super Mario, Super Kids 2, uh,
GoldenEye, come on, the GoldenEye was so
GoldenEye.
good.
What's the race? Beetle Adventure Racing.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
My God, it's just a racing game with the little Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mario Kart. You know what I'm saying? Mario Party. All
Mario
that.
Kart, yeah, oh yeah, and I mean, of course, Ocarina of Time. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
exactly.
it was too good. My brother got jealous of me. He thought I was like reading Nintendo Power magazines to like somehow get ahead of him because I beat the game before he did. And I'm like, no, I just all you got to do is talk to the villagers. They'll tell you exactly where you
Yeah.
need to go all the time. Anyway, yeah,
No,
that's a
that
hack if you're playing Ocarina of Time. Just talk to the
talk.
villagers.
That quick side note, that was my issue with like RPGs and stuff.
Yeah,
I just I just didn't I wasn't reading the dialogue. I was just like
just skip, skip, skip.
they're talking too much. I need to hit some.
Yeah, I want the action.
And then I'm thunder.
Yeah,
Lightning is a cool attack, but
that is cool.
you're not supposed to hit a lightning enemy with a lightning attack. Didn't
True.
register in my mind that didn't register that that would probably be a bad idea.
Yeah, of course, then there's some little kid though in the village who runs up to you, and if you talk to him, he says, "Well, you know, Mister, you shouldn't." You shouldn't
Yeah,
just skip
so
right over him. I don't have
right.
time for you, man.
As soon as the text bubble come up, A, whatever clicks B, whatever I'm playing, just skip, skip, skip.
And I get in those modes too. I totally get that. Like I have that in me too. I'm like, I don't want to read, read, read. I'm skip, skip,
Yeah.
skip. So that's and I've thought about that with Snakes with Fists. I'm like, I want this RPG to be like optional exploration. Like
Mm-hmm.
some people don't want to sit there and discover the things, and they don't need to get 100%. They just want to go to the action, and that's I want that both players to be able to experience whatever they want.
Got
So
you.
sure.
Roughly, how long would you want the game to be? Like, let's say completionist run and just a casual playthrough.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't want it to be like a 30-hour game, maybe,
Uh,
maybe a good 12 hours
that's not
to,
bad.
to get it through.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I was just wondering because
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's something you think about as you work on a game, or if that's something that kind of like happens as you're working on it. Like, oh, we put a lot of stuff in there, or we took some stuff
Yeah,
out to shorten it, and
I mean, honestly, I'm learning as I'm going on scaling this thing because this is my first big game. I knew when I made the original demo for DreamHack, I wanted it to be just a few minutes of gameplay. I was like, I'm going to have about 5 minutes to have their attention.
yeah,
So knowing what my demo is, that's about 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, if I multiply this out over the whole world, I roughly can see what it's going to be. But yeah, we'll see. It probably will end up being like a 60-hour game.
yeah.
We'll
If
just have to see. Yeah,
if that's what it is, that's just what it is.
it's going to be what it is. That's right.
Oh no, I lost it. Come back to me. It'd be it's a game. Oh, okay, so like when since you're like basically self taught, basically like like you just kind of just like got you like YouTube University or
Oh yeah, lots of YouTube. I mean, when with programming, like I remember being probably in high school, I think, and I would like go to like a half price books, and I was like, oh, it's like a learn Java like
yeah,
book, but it'd be like outdated and like
yeah.
and like wouldn't really work for me. And I would try to teach myself programming a lot like over
Mhm.
those years, and then YouTube was just like yeah, the holy grail. Like you can find anything on YouTube, and
Yeah.
that's been nice. So yeah, especially for full like game dev and learning
Mhm.
the engines, like YouTube everything. It's all somebody's done it, can teach you. It's
Yeah.
there. But I did do a coding boot camp a couple of years ago just to cinch my knowledge in, and doing that actually took me from like a beginner programmer to like I would say like upper intermediate. I'm not a pro yet, but I'm good enough to where
Yeah.
it all makes sense and I can follow the logic around
Yeah.
and do it. But
Okay.
I honestly, if there was somebody who was like trying to get into game dev, I would encourage them to do like a coding boot camp.
Mhm.
It was to me, it was worth it to sink in my knowledge. That's and then YouTube, yeah, YouTube, everything else.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
I just
And that's I'll
got
do
you.
that a lot. I'll say oh, I'm gonna add this other feature on
Mhm.
YouTube, a video on my game engine, which is Godot. How did somebody else do it? And does that look like it'll work? Yes. Okay, I'll do something similar. If not, I often will end up writing my own code anyway, but at
Mhm.
least it gives me an idea of how someone else thought about it.
Yeah. How this sound design like from like
Hmm.
the sound of the punches to maybe if you pick up an item to if they have footsteps or if like how did you go about doing that? Like like how I guess detail oriented were you about that? Like were you like
I wanted it to sound authentic.
mm,
And luckily for me, there's some really talented people out there who put their stuff out there for free for people to
mm,
use. I think it's Open Game Art. Found a retro game package of sound effects, and this thing
mm,
has like 1,000 sound effects. And I meticulously just went through each one for per section and
yeah,
found the ones that made sense and put them in. That's how I went about it for the demo.
mm,
My ultimate goal is eventually, once I have my demo, I would like to raise some funds and I would like to hire a audio studio. There are
yeah,
several out there that you can hire that do the full package. The
mm,
one that did like Tunic is
yeah,
Power Up Audio. I really would like to work with them. That would be
mm,
ideal. So if I could raise funds, work with them because they do the whole thing. Your music's going to sound like it matches your sound effects. Like when you open the treasure chest, it's all gonna
okay, oh that's
in the game
cool,
menu. Otherwise, open game art. If you're just creating a game demo or even a commercial game, I could leave the current sound effects in there and they sound great.
yeah,
They're totally free. I think I put their names in the credits, but even some of them you don't have to even give them credit. They're just like, here, take these sound effects.
yeah,
Open Game Art, I think, is the site. Actually, I can check real quick.
okay. That's fine. I asked because I know that's an important detail, but I didn't know like I mean, of course, it's your game, and you would want it
Yeah,
to sound good, but I didn't know how you're like. We don't have to have this type of sound, or some because some like, a walking footsteps. That's okay, but some people like, no, I want you to hear the shoe hit the marble. It sound different from when it hit the cobblestone, from when he
yeah.
walking in the forest. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
did,
no, those are good considerations. And now that we're talking about it, with my on the Green Guy Blue Guy website, there's actually a link to the game I made with my kids called The Last Plant, and my youngest got a microphone and recorded sound effects for that. And
yeah,
that's what we used. And you can record stuff dropping. I mean, you can totally do that. For me, I wanted that retro charm, so I
yeah,
wanted those more gritty sound effects that
yeah,
retro provides. So that's why I went that way. But in that game we did what are called barks
mm,
for the NPCs when you talk to them. So you talk to a guy who's like, "Meh, meh, 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 meh," and
yeah,
he's in a good mood. You go, "Meh, meh, 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 meh," he's in a bad mood. So even though they're not talking, they're making those noises when the text pops up. So
yeah.
little details like that are fun to play with. Yeah. Uh,
So would you say you done that for your own game as well? You've done the
Not this one. Not
okay.
this one yet. No, I really want to raise some funds for the full game and hire a professional. It's worth it. Like I could probably do some of that myself,
Mm,
but to get it to the polish level that I really want to do
mm,
the game justice with, I think hiring somebody who has a skill, paying them a fair price to do it
yeah.
is the way to
Yeah,
go.
that makes sense. I was just
Yep.
wondering.
No,
That's
no,
what
it's and that's a good yeah, that's a good
nah,
question.
I was gonna say you could put voice actor on your resume.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe I will do it myself.
Now, because I don't think I have the voice for voice acting, but I can say a nice one liner that somebody
There
ever
you go.
gave. You know, I was about to say, how do you get into the market?
Yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, no, I know a few people who got into voice acting. It can be a very rewarding thing. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I've never since my stuff is more just like sound effects, and I'm not really doing like spoken dialogue yet. Maybe there will be some spoken dialogue, but as of right now, that it'll all be text.
So demo at the end of the month, hopefully, fingers crossed. But what
Yeah, I used up all my last vacation days for the end of the year, and I'm going to be working on game, Christmas, working on
yeah,
game, working on game, working on game. And so ideally it'll be out by the end of the year.
okay,
If not, at the very least, the Next Fest. It's
okay,
it's already accepted in the Next Fest for Steam, and that event's in February.
okay. And would this demo be how long would you say roughly you would like to make it?
This one, I mean, there will be a little bit of open world, so you can hang out in there a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
the plan is to have 3 battle stages
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of boss fights.
Okay.
So you could probably get a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of the demo, so you can
Oh,
get a feel
okay.
for it.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah,
I was just wondering because
yeah,
I've never made a game before, so I'm taking notes just in case.
absolutely.
How have you thought of like replayability? Like
Hmm.
when we beat snakes with fists, how Is it like one of those games where it's like, I got the homie over, let's play? Like how do you want your replayability of your game to be?
Yeah, ideally there will be good replayability because of the stats and the
Mm,
stat modifiers that you put on your character. It's like, oh, I really focused on this kind of build. I want to go back and play the other character with because one character is more strength based, the other character is more speed based. So you got Cobra who's big and buff, and Conda who's a little sleeker and fast. And
okay,
those stats are different already. But then when you go to modify them, it'll be even more and more and more. One does a
okay,
ground slam with surround damage. The other one does an uppercut that does like a cone damage out in front of him. So anyone in front of him is an instant shot. And then yeah, so there's just different ways to play. So
mm,
replayability, I think like there'll be desire. Man, I played through with this character. I really want to play through with that one. So there'll be that built in for
okay.
sure.
Do you maybe you're working on it now? Do you
Hmm.
have like a favorite part of the game that you can say without, I guess, spoiling, or that you want to put in or something?
Yeah. So I don't know that this will stay in, but I've put in a battle arena that I'm really liking. That's
Mm,
like waves of enemies, and
uh,
then like you're upgrading, and you can try out different builds in the arena. You don't get to keep the items; they're like arena items.
yeah,
That way, you can go in, try out different like builds in the arena, and then you go back to your game. And say, okay, I really liked those items. I'm going to go buy
yeah.
them in the shop. So
Okay.
I'm kind of happy with that. But yeah, so we'll see if that remains or not. I did it more so I could test it, and then I was like, maybe I'll keep this in. Like this,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that sounds like a good idea,
yeah.
actually. Uh I think you hit most of my questions. Is there anything you want to share with the people? You want people to know?
Hmm.
Not
Yeah.
even just Snakes with Fists, but like anything, other projects, or you just coming out, you got a movie, or you got
No, nothing cool like that. No, just make games with your kids. If you've got kids, pull them into a game jam. Go have some fun. Anybody can make a game. If you don't have kids, like, anybody can make a game.
yeah,
Go make games. If you have kids, include them. Bring them. It's a ton of fun. But yeah, download a game engine, start playing with it. Get your ideas out there. I think so many people are creative, and it's so rewarding. So do yourself a favor. Yeah, make a game. Join a game jam. That's the best way to do it because you
what
got to make a game start to finish. Do a game
what
jam.
what is a game jam for people that don't know?
Oh yeah. That's a good, yeah, absolutely. So game jam is like a set period of time where you have to make a game from start to finish. There are
Mm,
different rules, right? But some of them it's like a 24-hour game jam where it's like you have 24 hours to make a game. Some of them they'll pair you with other people, like a programmer will get paired with an artist, will get paired with an audio person. Sometimes you can be a one-man show,
mm.
one-woman show, whatever it is. But essentially, they give you a topic, and they usually give you a twist after the game jam has started, and then you just make the game. And you learn a ton because it forces you're in a pressure cooker. It forces you to make a start menu, make a game loop that's complete with an end.
Yeah.
Even if
Ah,
it's the shortest game ever, you learn a ton.
yeah. Okay. How how would you join a game?
So if you get on itch.io, that's the best place in the world. Actually, if you just Google game jams, the
Mm,
itch.io calendar should pop up,
mm.
and there are constant game jams, and you can join through itch
Okay.
right there, and that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
And
Because
there's
I
no pressure. I mean, some people don't even finish their games, but if you join, finish the game, finish it through, it's
yeah,
worth it. You learn so much.
yeah. Because I've heard the name Game Jam before. I hear Game Jam. I think Jam Pack. Like folks
Right.
say it. So I was like, is that what?
Yeah. It's like, like when musicians get together and they just jam and they
Yeah.
just make a song. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that. It's like game developers get together, you just jamming,
Yeah.
you're just making a game.
Got
So,
you. That makes
yeah, yeah.
sense. Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know it's late.
Yeah,
I have work tomorrow and stuff.
I
But
got you.
is there anything else you want to share with the people where they can find you, or
Yeah.
anything about Snakes with Fist, or anything else you have coming up, or
You can check out the website. It's greenguyBlueguy.com. That's where we have the games listed. If you do a Google search for Snakes with Fists, it'll pop right up with the Steam page, so it's easy to find. But you can also find it on Steam and wishlist it there. It would be greatly appreciated. I'm most active really on Instagram and Twitter or X, however you want to call it. And you can find me on those as well. I believe both those are Snakes with Fists right now. But you can definitely find the link tree or all the links on my website, greenguyblueguy.com.
Joe, snakes,
Snakes. Yep.
snakes. Don't let this be your last time coming on the show.
Definitely won't, man. This
You're
was
always welcome here, even if it's not to promote anything, even if you want to come on and talk games or talk whatever other interests you got covered on. You know how to reach me. You're
okay.
always welcome here.
Well, I'm
This is
always
just
looking for good conversation
oh
like this.
yeah,
This was a lot of fun and it went by quick.
oh
I can't
yeah,
believe it's already over. But
yeah.
no,
We
thank you
we
so much for having me,
no
and I
problem.
definitely will be back. Thank you.
Okay, please, please, please. I'm glad to have you and everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. You be blessed and prosperous and have a great night.
Thanks.